Above the noisy stream, like a great ship run aground before the walls of Segovia, stands the church of San Millán. It is a parish church serving a large ethnic neighborhood. It's surprising due to its sheer scale, more like a large abbey or cathedral. Long ago, it was the spiritual see of Christian gentlemen in arms, which is why it was called de los Caballeros. Its great size loomed over the Moorish quarter that later surrounded it. It was declared a national monument in 1931, a jewel of the Spanish Romanesque style. But written history says nothing of its origins. Celtiberian remains certify human occupation of the site since time immemorial. Other tombs, dating back to the 10th century, take us to the period prior to the official resettlement of Segovia, which the Anales Toledanos place at 1088. A little earlier, the tower was constructed in sturdy masonry in connection with an earlier building about which nothing is known. Thus, the first mystery of San Millán lies beneath its foundations. To the south of the ancient bell tower, between the late 11th and 12th centuries, the three apses of the chancel were built. The transept was only noteworthy due to its height. The three naves were raised, the central nave being the widest. Surprisingly, its builders decided to copy the far-off Pyrenean Cathedral of Jaca in Aragon. They brought the building plan to Segovia, including its flaws. This could be due to local allegiances. For 2 decades after 1111, Alfonso I, the warrior, king of Aragon, ruled in these lands of Extremadura, Castilla. In disputes with Alfonso's wife, Queen Urraca of León, Segovia always took the Aragonese side. As in the Cathedral of San Pedro de Jaca, the Segovia builders planned to cap the three naves with stone cupolas, but the plans changed during the works. Traces on the walls and a few faults in symmetry bear witness to that moment of hesitation, during which the walls of the side naves were raised. The domed solution was finally discarded, and the naves were covered with lighter wooden cladding. This ancient armature, carved in Valsaïn pine, corresponds to the remains which can now be admired in the underground parish museum. Noteworthy are several elements of the embellishment of the central nave. There are 2 types of corbels, one of nacelle among scrolls, and the other of a palmette-shaped bow, both of Cordoban origin. The concave segment coverings, in one case, feature a Star of David in their center. The phrase, "the power is of Allah," appears on the partitions in flowery Kufic characters that testify to the origin and faith of the sculptors. Motifs of stems, palmettes, pine cones, and 4-leaf flowers cover the visible parts of the cladding. Its forms are reminiscent of other North African decoration, as seen in the Great Mosque of Córdoba or in the Alfajarilla of Zaragoza. Much like those on the reliefs are several layers of paint which light up the cladding with color, highlighting the ornamental motifs on dark backgrounds of indigo blue or charcoal black. Intense red lines, made from earth and vermilion pigments, frame the spaces of geometric and vegetation images and highlight the veins of the stems and leaves. These reddish frames, which divide up the composition, are enlivened with pearly white lead circles or dots. The vegetation and the flowery calligraphy retain only traces of the yellowish tones obtained perhaps with orpiment, arsenic crystal, which would contrast and highlight the images and create a sense of depth where there is only a subtle bas-relief. The makeup of this structure represents the second great mystery of San Millán. What did the original ceiling look like? Some parts are missing, and what has been preserved shows signs of reuse. The ensemble is a huge and incomplete puzzle. Though several attempts have been made to unravel the mystery, none is entirely satisfactory. Were the three naves clad in carved wood, as the most accepted of the hypotheses proposes? Was the central nave covered with a double-strapped ridge piece, and the side naves clad with hanging panels? What changes did the ceiling of the main nave undergo during those two stages? The ceiling of San Millán still hides its secrets. Well into the 12th century, two porticos were fitted beside the naves, hallmarks of Romanesque architecture in Segovia. The medieval ensemble was completed, perhaps as early as the 13th century, with a fourth apse angled to the east of the tower, perhaps part of a more ambitious, unfinished project. During the 17th and 18th centuries, several projects changed the appearance of the building. In 1669, the parishioners paid for some Baroque partitioned vaults for the naves, with lunettes and plasterwork. Several elements of the upper roof were adapted to new functions. Modern refurbishment removed these additions and restored the church to its original appearance. That process began in the 1920s with the work and enthusiasm of architect Francisco Cabello and the Marquis of Lozoya. The last great intervention, furthered by the parish, was undertaken for the Segovian festival of La Catorcena in 1977. Once again, the roofs of the naves were refurbished. Under the supervision of Alberto Garcia Gil, the Baroque vaults were eliminated, and the main nave was covered with a flat roof beneath a metal structure. The side naves were covered with a barrel vault roof. Then, all the pieces of the original armature were assembled. Now visible are the corbels, straps, braces, interlacing, and panels, an artistic treasure of singular antiquity and beauty, and a conundrum for researchers. It is a breathtaking illustration of the mystery that even today surrounds the church of San Millán in Segovia.